Hello and welcome everyone to this live demo session on SAP ABAP on HANA come S4HANA technical training with CDS View and Business Application Studio. My name is Anubhav and in next 40 minutes, I will take you through this demo session to give you an overview of what ABAP on HANA is and what is that we are all going to cover as part of this training. So this is a 40 hours training which includes concepts of CDS view, virtual data models, EMDP, ADBC, SAP HANA introduction, including information modeling, types of views like attribute analytic calculation views on HANA. And also we will learn about concepts of annotations with building Fiori apps, which are both transactional and analytical on an ABAP on HANA system. You will also learn the new ABAP syntax, performance tuning, the tools which are used nowadays in S4HANA, S4HANA code conversion and overview pages, and many more topics like this, which are a much needed topic these days for any ABAP developer in the portfolio. So let's get started with this demo session. Who is this course for? So anyone can learn ABAP on HANA, especially designed for anyone who is part of as a SAP consultant. Specifically as an ABAP consultant, if you look at, you would like to embrace the change of technology and make your programs much better and faster with the new ABAP on HANA or S4HANA Fiori programming paradigm. Also the BW consultant, these days, you would see that most of your BACS reports are now transforming into CDS views. So you would like to build CDS views with S4HANA so that you can consume them in SAP S4HANA Embedded Analytics or also probably on SAP Analytics Cloud. So if you are using the OLAP tools and would like to consume the datasets and data models from S4HANA system, you would also be able to learn that in this course. Scrum leads. As a Scrum lead, many a times, I would like to estimate things better for tomorrow because I'm handling a team which is working on ABAP on HANA system. I should be able to not just understand the requirement, but also should be able to build the tasks for my team so that I can help my team to be able to work on those tasks. Finally, any SAP consultant, you could be a Fiori consultant, a front-end developer, who would like to now venture into the back-end side, wanted to build CDS views and OData services on top of CDS and consume them, and also take the best power of SAP HANA system from the back-end side. You can also attend this training. So let's get started with introduction of what is SAP HANA. So HANA stands for High Performance Analytical Appliance. This is the very first definition which comes when you start learning about HANA. So stands for High Performance Analytical Appliance. Now why it is called appliance? So as we all have learned a little bit about HANA that it's an in-memory database. If it's an in-memory database, then why it is called as appliance? So the reason is it is not just the software technology, but also the software technology in combination with the hardware technology. So you can probably not run a complete full-fledged HANA machine in your local machine because it needs a specialized hardware. And that's why HANA is considered as an appliance. Together with that, SAP HANA comes along with a lightweight web server and an application server called Access Engine, where you can also build and deploy applications natively on HANA. So that is why HANA is also nowadays considered as a platform, not just a database. We will learn about detailed infrastructure and the architecture of HANA Box in our chapter number 3. So one important point to note that we will not need any prerequisite as HANA as part of this course. You are a complete fresher on HANA, don't worry. You're just an ABAP consultant or BW consultant, have no clue on HANA, don't worry. This course will include basics of HANA as well to make you an expert from zero to hero. So HANA stands for High Performance Analytic Appliance. So far, a traditional database stores data in hard disk drive and then moves this data from hard disk to RAM and from RAM to CPU. Now, if you really look at this process is very lengthy and it's also time consuming when data moves from one hardware to another hardware device. It creates bottlenecks for performance. So what SAP have done, they have come up with a new concept called SAP HANA, which allows you to store and keep all the data in the RAM. So rather than keeping data in the hard disk, you keep it in the RAM. And as a benefit of that, you get a better performance. But as I mentioned, it's not just storing data in the RAM, but also there are so many innovations. So along with that, SAP offers a better software innovation, like we have concept of column store, we have concept of compression, we have insert only approach, we have massive parallel processing, all the data kept in the RAM, concept of data aging. A lot of these concepts combiningly helps you to improve such a great performance. We are going to discuss all of these topics in our chapter number 4, where I will explain you about the benefits of column versus row store and how actually HANA stores the data internally so that you can understand how it is helping us to get the performance right. Now, why it is important to learn HANA? So if you really look at most of the SAP's new solutions are coming on HANA, whether it is BW on HANA or ABAP on HANA or Suite on HANA or C for HANA, CRM for HANA, and then probably S4 HANA. So all the solutions are slowly migrating to the HANA as a primary database. So that's why it is also extremely important for any developer who is working on these new solutions to learn HANA. Now, what is that you're going to get out of the box when you use this database? So as I just also mentioned, that it keeps all the data in the memory. It helps you to store data in a compressed way so that overall memory requirement reduces down. We have data intensive operations, which earlier we used to do it in ABAP layer. Now we push down that logic to the HANA database. Now we also have native platform capabilities, which includes a lightweight application server, which we can use. We can also build information model, which is what also we will be learning in chapter 6 and 7, where I will explain you building information models in HANA. We have also the column store. So we'll also have a detailed comparison between row store versus column store, as it's also a very good interview question. Then we will have concept of parallel processing, where multiple nodes of CPUs can process massive data in a parallel mode. So all of these are the benefits which helps you to gain that performance, much desired performance for your new dimension applications. And then we have this Fiori application programming paradigm with ABAP on HANA, which is also quite important and interesting to learn as our topic for chapter 12 and 13. So let's understand then what is ABAP on HANA. So as you all come from ABAP background, you must be aware of so-called three-tier architecture. So as far as three-tier architecture is concerned, you have the presentation layer. So this is nothing but our SAP GUI layer. So far, this is what we've been using. And then we have the application layer. Yeah. So this is your ABAP layer basically, where all the ABAP program gets executed. And finally comes is your database layer, where you can plug any DB. So this is our database layer. So till today, the database layer was kind of used as a data dump, where you just store the data, writes the data. And if you want to do any kind of application logic and processing, it was done all on the ABAP layer. So typical ABAP program follows the process of fetch, process, and print or output. So in the fetch, you will fire a select query. It reads all the data on the ABAP layer. Then you will do the processing, loop at iTab, typical loop at iTab and stuff like that. And then once your data is prepared, you will send the data to the front end to be displayed. So this is a typical process which we follow when it comes to a traditional R3 programming world. But what's the new way? What's the change which is happening now in this new world? So as far as industry is moving, as you can see, the front end layer is slowly going browser based or mobile based. So that's where we've got now Fiori user experience. So this is our new front end, which is browser running on a desktop, tablet, or a mobile phone. And of course, the application layer is also enriching. So it's moving to the latest new programming paradigm based on these new concepts like CDS views, AMDPs, stuff like that. So these are innovations happening on application layer. And finally, we have this database. So now if you notice, I'm not going to represent database as a traditional DB. Rather, I will represent is a in-memory database, which is nothing but SAP HANA. So what is the new programming paradigm is now you are not going to do traditional programming. Rather, you are going to write application logic in a way that it push down the logic to database layer. You will do all the processing over here, and only the final result, which is minimal, is what you're going to transport or transmit to the application layer. So in the traditional programming way, more and more application logic was executing, more and more data was getting processed on the app layer, and less was getting processed, or in fact, nothing was getting processed on the database layer. So this is the direction where you can see it's more volume, more processing on the app layer, which is what makes your application kind of, slow. And here you are best leveraging this new in-memory database, which allows you to process massive data in parallel, and more logic you're doing on the database layer. And only the final result you are transmitting to the application layer. This also has immense benefit in terms of data transfer between these two layers, because if you see in this case, you have to transfer massive data to the app layer, which also consumes a little bit of time. However, in this case, all your logic is running on database, and then you push down or return back only the final result. And this final result is then directly sent. So you do a very little or no processing here. As a result of that, you get the maximum performance because both your data records and your processing engine is all sitting next to each other. So your processing and data both are close to each other. It can do it much faster, and only the final result is what you send. So this is what the paradigm shift is happening when it comes to ABAP on HANA. We are best leveraging the power of this in-memory computing engine, and then we are returning the final result back. So that's a paradigm shift for developers. Now, as far as this shift is concerned, then what it means for me as a developer, how the way I program, how the way I should write my new ABAP program, or how the way, what all the tools I have, what are all the different methodologies I can use is what we are going to learn as part of this training. So a couple of new tools also we will introduce as part of this training, so you don't have to have any prior knowledge on these tools. The first tool which we'll be using is ABAP development tool on Eclipse. This is what also we will see, which will help us to connect to our ABAP layer. Then we will also introduce or learn about this HANA Studio tool. So you don't need to have any prior knowledge or experience on that. We'll also learn that. And then, of course, on the building of applications, we have two very powerful and important tools today in the market which are being used. The first one is called SAP Web IDE to build Fiori apps. And now recently we have a new tool introduced called BAS, Business Application Studio. So we're going to learn both of them, how to use these tools to be able to build your new dimension or new Fiori application. So all of this will be covered along with the installation and development of these tools live in system with real-time use case. Yeah. So long story short, as you can see, we will be learning these many things as part of this training. So we will start with introduction of SAP HANA, what HANA is all about, its architecture, and how HANA is helping us to improve the performance. What are all the key benefits? Then second step, we will learn how ABAP is meeting SAP HANA, the concept of schemas, catalogs, packages, how exactly ABAP objects are being stored in HANA, HANA Studio, a web development tool on Eclipse. And then we'll talk about developing ABAP objects on HANA, which includes HANA development of views and also SQL scripting programming language end to end. We will be covering as part of this. Then we will learn new ABAP syntax. Of course, ABAP is also improving. So we have inline data declaration, we have value expression, constructor expression, all these new concepts, new ABAP syntax we will cover along with that performance tuning. Where do you really need an improvement in the performance? Then we'll discuss the latest topics like CDS views. CDS views itself is a very big chunk of this course, which includes basic CDS views, CDS view security, annotations. Then we have metadata extensions. We have UI annotations, analytical ability, building cubes, virtual data models, VDMs, S4 related CDS naming conventions, ABAP development using CDS table function. So a lot more we will cover on CDS part. We have almost 40 to 50% of this course focusing only on CDS dedicatedly with scenarios. Then we have ABAP development using ADBC, which includes ABAP database connectivity and ABAP managed data procedure with SQL script. So finally, we will talk about the latest tools like integrated data access with ALV and fuzzy search. So all in all, we will see 5 end-to-end POCs as part of this training, and also the latest concepts with end-to-end life cycle, starting from creating an app to the deploying to the shipping of application. And it's a promise of no copy paste. So you'll be designed in a way that you will be able to match this topic almost along with the certification. So if you're planning for a ABAP on HANA certification, then also this course will help you out, because the course is designed in the same line, in line with the certification. So this is the certification code HANA AW16, and as you can see the topics, you can compare these topics exactly with our course overview. So we'll start with performance tuning, the tools required for performance tuning, ABAP development tool on Eclipse, what are all the implications for an ABAP developer for programming on a HANA database, then of course the technical concepts of HANA, information modeling in HANA and database procedures, and the development tools for NetWeaver, and finally building these new programming artifacts using ABAP on HANA. So all of this we will be covering as part of this entire training. Now let's start with our demo scenario today. For this demo, please note this is just a demo session. This is not a class, because for reaching to this level, what I'm going to show you today in the demo, you need to learn through core concepts of ABAP on HANA. But since it's just like a kickoff for our project, kickoff for our training, I'm just covering this demo scenario. So my hypothetical character, Chris Chappell, is working as an ABAP on HANA consultant in one of the biggest shipping company, where multiple sales orders are dispatched from its warehouse. So this is what is happening in his company, and he's working as an ABAP on HANA consultant. Now he has been asked by his manager to develop a report program which can be used on mobile device, showing all the real-time sales issues in the system. So many sales orders are getting dispatched from the warehouse, and he has been given a task to develop an application which shows the real-time status of sales order issues. The business is interested in total issue count by category from standard sales order tables. So in ERP system, as you know, there is a standard database table where all the sales order and the issues information is getting stored. And then you will have following capabilities which are expected as part of this this POC which we are going to build today. So the requirement side, the first is display all the sales orders and their issues along with the issue count. Second requirement is allow user to search sales order issues by document type and sales organization. And then third is application should allow search by range, and distinct values, and also a search help should come. And fully personalized. The application should be fully personalized. I should be able to add new search criteria, remove search criteria, add new columns to the report table. All of that should happen. And then also we should move away from the classical GUI screen, because we wanted to run this app on a tablet or a mobile device with a browser. So that's why the application has to be of kind Fiori-like application. Now, it's absolutely fine if you have no clue about what Fiori app is and how to develop Fiori apps. It's fine, because we will be using powerful tools in this training so that without any much knowledge on Fiori, you'll be also able to build these applications by following the easy steps, as you will see in the demo in a minute. Then the tools which we will be using today is ADT, ABAP development tool on Eclipse, and the second will be SAP Business Application Studio called BAS in Cloud Platform. So these two tools. Now, don't worry here at this point that you may not be aware of these tools, or you never installed these tools, you've never seen these tools in your real life till today. It's fine. We have dedicated chapters in the main course, chapter number 4 and chapter number 8, where I will explain you about both of these tools in detail. And then I will also help you to set up these tools in your own working environment so that you can also be able to build and work with these demo scenarios. We have powerful end-to-end POCs planned for you, where you will be able to do hands-on in the system with these examples which I'll be sharing. So let's get started. So this is our expected outcome. As you can see, it's an application, Fiori-like application, where you have sales order type as a search field and a sales organization as a search field. And of course, all the issues related to the sales orders. They are grouped by the numbers and the counts. You can see there are about 164 odd issues related to delivery issues in sales order. Yeah, there are about 81 issues in shipping related activities in the delivery. So it's grouping all the issues by the issue description. And this is all coming from live data in my ERP system. So we have sales order tables, VBAC and VBAP. From there, this data is coming actually. So what is our approach to build it? What is that we're going to do today to build this end-to-end POC? So I will be starting from an existing asset. So it's always a good idea that you have something already in the system, and you should always start with your existing asset rather than, rebuilding or reinventing the wheel again. So today's demo session, I will just consider a standard SAP delivered CDS view. I will explain you in our chapter 21 how to get the information of these standard views, but today I'm just going to tell the name to you. So we will be using a standard CDS view delivered by SAP called I_sales order. Fulfillment issue. This is the sales order I'll be using. It's a SAP delivered standard view. So we'll be building on top of it. So this view somehow, talking to your actual database table, VBAC and VBAP and whatsoever. So we really don't care about underlying complexity. We will be just talking to this view. So this view will return me all the sales orders, numbers, sales order, different properties like sales organization, sales order type, issues, issue description, and stuff like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a CDS view on top of it. Okay. So understand just for now, CDS view is an artifact. It's a view, as the name suggests, like you would have worked with classical DDIC views. Of course, it's different from that, but it's a view. Capability of a view is typically to display the data, to display unnormalized data to us. So we'll be building a CDS view, and this view is of type special view, and we call it as a cube. Why we call it as a cube view? The reason is because this view will be able to help us aggregating the data. Aggregation means I want to sum the issues. Yeah, as you saw on the screenshot, we were seeing their total issues grouped by the different issue types. So that's why it's going to be of type cube. But these are all the terms which we will learn in chapter 10 when I will explain you about S4HANA VDM artifacts. But right now, just assume that we're going to build some object on top of a standard object, just like you write a select query on a standard database table. We're going to do the same way. And this view, we will name something. Let's say Z_CDS demo, something, demo SO, whatever. And then in this view, we are going to put some interesting stuff. What is that stuff called? It's called annotations. So what is annotations? So annotations are semantically rich data constructs, which helps you to expose the asset of the system in a certain way to the outsider. So who is the outsider? Outsider are consumers. So consumer could be a Fiori application. A consumer could be a report written in ABAP program. It could be an ABAP program who's the consumer. It could be some analytic tools, which could be a consumer. So just understand there can be different types of consumers who can consume. So in our use case, the consumer is going to be Fiori application. So this will be our consumer. So this application runs on the browser. So browser can't fire a select query to your SAP system. So that's why we are building this view, and we'll use certain annotations. So any annotation you see, it will start with @of. We will have a detailed session on annotation in chapter 12, 13, and 14. So for now, I will just use some of the annotations to expose the asset out of the system, the data out of the system as a service. So you expose something called a service. We will use some annotations to expose the service out. And then this data is what will be used by the application running in the browser. That is what we will be doing. Okay. So this whole process is what we will cover in one shot. So we'll create first object as this, then we will write some annotations and OData will be exposed. And then in step 3, we will be creating our Fiori application on top. So to do this one, we use a tool called ABAP development tool on Eclipse. And to do this one, we will use a tool called BAS, Business Application Studio. So right now, don't worry that how I got these tools. When I start our next class, in the next class, the very first lesson is ADT, how to set up ADT in your system. So that we will cover in very next class. But for just a demo, I'm having these tools already configured in my system and just going to show building this end to end. So let's start with building a CDS view ourselves in the system. So I'll switch it over to the Eclipse environment. Again and again, I'm repeating that this is just a demo. So don't be overwhelmed by where did I got this tool from? How can I get this? All of this we will cover in chapter 3. Now, I'll start a new CDS view. So I will just go over to my local objects and right click. And I'll say, please create a new core data service or CDS. So let's create a data definition. And now we are going to give some names. So I can say Z demo SO issue. You can give some name. So sales order issues from S4HANA system. And we can just click on finish. So as I mentioned already that we will be using a standard SAP delivered CDS view to build this. And maybe I will have to also give a DDIC view name. So a CDS view name, whenever you create, it generates 2 artifacts. One is a DDIC view in SE11 and another will be a view inside of HANA database. So that view name which it will generate, we need to provide a name over here to that view name. So this is what called annotations. You see there are a variety of annotations. So many of them are there. We will learn majority of them in our session. And now I will just give some names. So Z demo SOI. So I just give some name and I will first save this. Now over here, if you really relate it with a typical select query, you can actually see it's kind of a select query. So select from some database table, and then we are going to put all our columns inside these curly braces. Yeah, that's a typical view definition, how you define a view or a CDS view. So over here, you have also very powerful code completion capabilities available in the system. So I will use standard SAP delivery. Imagine you're using a standard VBAC table. Instead of that, we are just using a view which is delivered by SAP out of the box. So we will also learn how do you check a view which is respective or which will fulfill your need in your company. So these are all built-in views which SAP delivers. So for now, I'm just showing you using a pre-existing view in the system. So I'll just say I underscore sales order fulfillment issue view. So this is a view. If you would like to see the code inside this view, you can do that, but it will be too complex for now in this session to understand. But however, let me just quickly do control and click and it navigates. You can see this is a kind of view. So maybe today it looks very much jargon for you, but after completing this training, you will pretty much be able to understand the code which is written inside these kind of views. Yeah. So it is exposing basically some certain fields by connecting variety of tables. So the join is considered here using association. So you see this association is nothing but joins with other database table or views. So basically it's connecting with some other database table and views over here. Let's come back to overview. Can also go back. And now over here, I'm going to expose some fields. So I'm going to say key. My key is going to be issue. And then I'm going to define an association name. So this is a foreign key relationship from where I can get the information about the text of the issue. So I say, please show me the issue text. And I'm interested to get that text only in my login language, because texts are language specific. Each issue has a different text. As you know, in ABAP, we have a concept of text table. So I'm accessing the text table and I'll say, please pass the language field value equals to my current session variable, $session. This is a session variable, how you access current login language. Like in ABAP, you use psi-uname or psi-datum. Similarly, in CDS, we use $session. And now I can access over here the system language. Yeah, this is my session variable. And then from there, I can just access the issue name property. Of course, if I log in English language, then system is going to pick up the issue name in English and just provide this name. So as you see, we are not going to do a copy paste of code like typically trainer does. So usually you see online trainers will just copy paste the code, show the output and run away. That's not the way we will do. We will write every single line of code so that we can understand what does it mean for us when we put certain piece of code. And then I'll also expose number of issues over here as a property. So number of all issues. And then all these is coming from my base view. Then I'll use sales order type. And I'll use sales organization. And then I will also expose these foreign key relationships. They all starts with underscore. There is also a strong reason why they start with underscore, not with a normal name. So I will also explain that when we learn VDM concept in chapter 13. So sales order type. And then we'll also expose this sales organization. Yes, perfect. So very simple and easy that you're exposing some data out of the system. Yeah, it's not out, but just that we created a view on top of existing standard SAP view. So I will activate this object just like any other ABAP object you activate, like your programs. Similarly, I will activate this here. And now I can press F8 command to just see the data, whether whatever I've written is fine or not. So I just execute. And you can see system is fetching me each issue. And for each issue, it's coming 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So basically now what we need to do is we need to group by the issue name, and we need to count how many similar issues are in there. Yeah. So that's typically we do in any ABAP query. Select star from the database table, select issue name from database table, select issue name, comma, count star or some star from database table, group by issue name. This is what typically you do in ABAP program. So here, in case of CDS, you don't have to do all that complicated select query stuff. Rather, you can use annotation concept. So what I will do is I'll go back and just above this number, what I'll say is I don't want it to do a kind of a group by stuff. No complicated select query. I can just go back and put an annotation called default aggregation. And I can say control space, and I have all these options to choose. So I'll choose, please do a sum of all the issues, because this is what I'm interested into. Now, together with that, we can also go back and put more annotation, but right now I just wanted to keep it simple. And now, as you know that we need to build a Fiori-like application for this, because user is not interested in more of a application which is of kind SAP GUI application. Then we need to also expose the data out as a service. So we will also put another annotation. And additionally, since it's going to be used for grouping the data, we need to mark that the purpose of this view is for analytics category as a cube. This is a very important annotation we have to give. so that system can automatically sum the data based on my dimensions. Yeah. Now moving next, let's expose this as a service. So OData dot publish as true, and that's it. Maybe you've never worked with OData in your life. That's all you need to do to create a service out which expose the data out from S4HANA system as a service to the consumer, and consumer is going to be our Fiori app. We are done, and the next step is definitely to service is automatically created for this view. It's time to register this service. So how do you do that? Just take your mouse on this little warning button, and you can see this is the name of the service. I just copy that. So some of these things are very new to you. Maybe it's fine if you're not able to get most of these things, because these things, to reach to this level, it requires a lot of learning which needs to be done, and that's how we are going to proceed. But this is just good for a demo to understand the overall big picture, how things are going to be and how are we going to build these apps. So let's click on add service here, and we will just register our service in the system. So I just press enter and I select and add the service. So this is a one-time process. Once your CDS view is created, you expose the OData service and then you register this service. It's just a one-time process over here. So now we are done. We are good. So it's time for me to go back and create now a Fiori user experience on top of this to see a similar kind of result on the UI. So for that, now I switch over to the next tool, which is called BAS, Business Application Studio. So I'm using here SAP Cloud Platform trial account to connect to BAS. So you'll also be able to do that. I will explain you how to set up BAS in Chapter 9 when we start building real Fiori applications, both transactional, analytical, and normal business applications. So over here, what we do is we choose this option to create an app from template. So as you remember, you don't need to be an expert on Fiori development to be able to build these applications, because SAP offers these free templates which you can really choose and build an application. So I will go with the Fiori element type of template, and over here I will choose my template as a list report application. So you can think of list report as like a search field or a selection screen with the search fields and an ALV table at the bottom. So exactly similar thing what you have it in a list report. You can also click on the screenshot and see how it looks like, So I can say next. And of course, now this Fiori application, which runs on the browser, cannot fire a select query on HANA or ABAP on HANA system. So that's the reason we will have to connect to a service. And that's why we created that service out there. So let's choose the option, and I'll say I want to connect to my SAP system. And I have already registered before this demo my system to BAS. So I just choose my system. And as a next step, I will enter my service name. So let's enter my service name, which we just created. And system is now fetching the information. I say next. And now you'll see that system has fetched all the information about the entity sets, which are there in my CDS view. And I will choose our CDS view name, Z demo SO issue. That's our CDS view name. That's the one we will select actually. And now I will say, do we want navigation choice? No, as of now, not. And then I will give a project name. So let me give project name Anubhav ABAP on HANA, AOH. Let me give the application title. And we can just say, fine, everything is okay. Yeah. So I click on finish. And now you can see system is generating an application out of the box for us. So that's all you need to do to build a Fiori application. Just need to set up this tool right, connect your S4 system, which is what we will cover, and then get this app generated out of the template. We will also learn Web IDE as well, because many of you are still not on BAS, your company, or you are also still using the Web IDE as a preferred development tool, which is also fine. You'll be able to use both interportably at the end of this module. Okay, cool. So we got this project generated, and what I just need to do is execute it. So I have to go this run configuration option, and over here you can see Anubhav AOH is displayed. So I click on run, and you can see the application is starting over here. So it's downloading the necessary resources to be able to run this application on my local environment. So you can see the application starting, and I can just open this app in a new tab. And of course, I have to go to my test folder, and I launch this application with this file FLP sandbox. So now you'll see the application will launch for us. You can also configure this path as to directly launch your application also. So this is our application, sales order issue. And as you can see, the application is ready, but nothing interesting here because I have to first configure my columns as well as my my search field. So you can choose this button to configure columns, and you can choose this button to configure the search field. So I say adapt filter, and of course I will choose sales organization and sales document type as my search fields, and I say go, and you can see the search fields are getting displayed. And we can also go back to the columns, and I'm only interested in issue description and count of issues. Click on OK. And our system is firing a call to that service which we created to fetch all the issues and group them depending on the type. Yeah, so you can see the issue description. So that's exactly what we wanted as an application. And now you can also search here with the sales document type. So let's go back and look at the requirement from the business. So these were the requirements. So display sales order issues with issue count. And that's what you can see now. We've got it here. Sales order issue description with the total issue count in the system. That's the first thing. Then next, we are done with this. So let's mark this. Okay. Next, allow search of sales order issues by document type and sales organization. That's also done. You can see document type and organization. So if you can go back and type F4 help, you can see a complete search opens up for us. And at the bottom, you can see here the document type. So I'll search for standard order. As you all know, the type is OR. So you can see standard order OR type. So I'm only interested to see standard orders. So now earlier it was 164 for delivery issues. Let's see how many standard orders are there which are stuck because of delivery issues. So I click on go. So if you see the benefit here, you don't have to write select query. You don't have to construct a dynamic where clause. You don't have to write complicated, selection screen. Don't have to write too much of code to be able to build this kind of application. And it right away can be deployed on the system to give access to your users on the mobile device. So now you can see issue with the delivery, you have only 37, or issue with the sales order delivery, 103 issues. I can also enter further filter like sales organization 1710, and you will see system also shows me the value help here automatically. So this is all automatic, you don't have to code for these things explicitly like you typically do in an ABAP screen program. You have to code for F4, you have to code for your criterias. And here, if you really go to F4 help, you can see there are a variety of options you can choose. You can select multiple sales organizations. So these screens are built automatically by the Fiori Elements framework. We don't have to really spend time in building these things. So all these capabilities are automatic. You get these out of the box. Click on OK, and now you see multi-select. All the multiple sales organizations are in place. So I can also just cancel some of them. Really not interested so much of it. Click on Go, and now I'll see it will further filter. So no dynamic where clause, nothing needs to be written. All of it will manage behind the scene, and that too performance-wise, it's going to be amazing. So you can see there are 56 issues now filtered out. So it's a dynamic filter is already in place. Now, interestingly, you also have the variant management out of the box. So right now, since I didn't deploy it yet, I don't have the variant management capability, but going forward, we can also have that out of the box. Now, the beauty here is if I turn my my computer's browser to a mobile device, you can see how this app is going to look like in a mobile device. So this is an iPhone 6 view, how this app is going to auto-adapt in the mobile device. You can see it is auto-adapting in the mobile. So you can just tap and see how it works in a mobile device. So this is the beauty of the application when it comes to mobile. You can also see if I turn my device into a landscape mode, how it is going to look like. If I just go to F4 help, you can see how the search is going to look like. Yeah. So all of this is out of the box you're going to get. So you really don't have to spend time in designing or thinking what could be an ideal design to adapt this app on a mobile. This is the benefit you get with Fiori user experience out of the box. So that's how exactly you can build a very simple application. Of course, this can go more complex with create and update capabilities. And also we have lots of annotations for keeping the demo simple. I'm not covering too many things here, but of course, as and when we progress more in details, we are going to learn a lot in our training actually. Okay, so now it's time for some frequently asked questions by many of you. So do I need to have any prior knowledge of SAP HANA? Of course not. If you are attending this course, we will cover HANA Foundation for you as part of this training. You don't need to have any prior experience or knowledge on SAP HANA. Second, how much ABAP knowledge is required for this course? So only basics of ABAP if you're comfortable, like data dictionary, internal table, basic syntax, like loop edit tab, read table, and function modules. That's all 4 concepts. If you're comfortable, understand a little bit of basics of SAP system, you're good to go. And that too only required for 30% of this course topics. Rest all the topics are completely new even for an ABAP developer. If you are an ABAP developer, 70% of the topics are even new to you. Even it doesn't matter whether you are from ABAP or not. So I'm a BW and BI consultant. Can I also learn ABAP on HANA? Definitely yes. And you should, because this is a need of an hour. And you must learn it because you would like to consume these CDS views in S4HANA Embedded Analytics or probably in Analytics Cloud. So that's where also it's very, very important for you today to learn ABAP on HANA. How much deep knowledge of OOPS required? Basics, just basics of class interface object, it's more than enough. No need for extensive OOPS knowledge for this course. So what about server access? So we can arrange a server, or we will help you to understand what is needed from server side. So you can also check your own company server, and then you will probably be able to do things on your own in your company server. But if you don't have a company server, don't worry. We can arrange a server for you which has everything in place, including data sets, data tables, and it will be a latest S4HANA 19091 one. Then moving next, which version of HANA we'll be using? So as of now, we'll be using SAP HANA 1909 SPS 2 with the SAP HANA 2.0 ABA layer, and it will be latest NetWeaver 754 SP1. Okay. And how is this course, how much time of this course we'll spend on CDS? So around 40 to 50% of this course, we will spend time. In fact, more than 40, we will do CDS, because CDS is definitely a choice, a learning path, a great learning path for us in coming days. Any ABAP developer must learn CDS view, or BW developer must learn it, because this is what is going to be the future. Now, do I need to have prior knowledge on OData? No. You don't need to have any knowledge on OData service. I will also give you complimentary session on OData service. A complimentary OData session will be also provided along with this course to all of you. So those who are not comfortable with OData, don't worry, you will be able to. So can I also take this course in video mode as the timing doesn't suit me? Yes, you can definitely. You can also take this entire course in video mode, just in case you missed a class. You can also watch the video later point of time after the class is complete. You will also get that. So what all the tools are we going to cover in this? So as I mentioned, we'll cover ADT is the main tool for developing CDS and other artifacts. Together with that, we'll learn Web IDE and the BAS, Business Application Studio, so that you can build applications in the system. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this demo session. And our classes are anyway going to start from coming weekend. And please feel free to subscribe